The light in the shadow fortress. The estate stood like a fortress atop the hill, tall, imposing, and silent as a grave. No laughter echoed here, no warmth touched the marble floors. This was the domain of Bang Chan, a man whose name alone made grown men tremble. He was known as the Shadow King, ruthless, unyielding, and feared across the entire city. You had arrived 3 days prior, a quiet girl from a small village, grateful for the work that paid enough to help your sick mother. You kept your head down, spoke only when spoken to, and did your duties with gentle hands and a kind heart, qualities rarely seen within these walls. What you had not told anyone, not even the housekeeper who hired you, was the dream you carried close to your chest. Once your mother was well again, you wanted to return to the village, fix the little schoolhouse that had fallen into disrepair, and teach the children who had nowhere else to learn. You had loved books your whole life, borrowing tattered copies from neighbors, and memorizing poems by candlelight, and the thought of sharing that wonder with others kept you going on the hardest days. It was late evening when you entered his study to bring fresh tea. The room was dim, lit only by a single desk lamp. Chan sat behind a massive oak desk, papers scattered before him, his expression carved from stone. His dark hair fell over his forehead, and his dark eyes held a coldness that seemed to pierce right through you. You approached cautiously, setting the tray down softly. "Excuse me, sir, your tea." He didn't look up.
"Leave it, and close the door on your way out."
You nodded, turning to go. But as you stepped back, your foot caught on the edge of a rug. With a small gasp, you stumbled, knocking over the cup. Hot tea spilled across the desk, soaking into important-looking documents. Panic seized you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." Chan stood so fast his chair scraped loudly against the floor. The air turned frigid. His voice was low and sharp, like a blade being drawn.
"Are you an idiot? Do you have any idea what these papers are worth?"
You bowed your head, hands trembling. "I'll clean it up immediately. I'll pay for any damage." He stepped around the desk, towering over you. Most servants would have run or begged, but you stood there, eyes glistening yet unwavering, holding a cloth ready to wipe the mess.
"Look at me when I speak to you,"
commanded. Slowly you lifted your gaze. There was no fear in your eyes, not the kind he was used to seeing. Instead, there was a genuine regret and a quiet resolve. "I said I'm sorry, sir. Accidents happen. I'll fix it as best I can." Something flickered in his expression, surprise perhaps. He was used to people groveling or lying to save themselves. This girl, she was different.
"Go,"
he said after a long pause, his tone less harsh but still firm.
"But if you make another mistake, you're gone."
"Gone." "Understood, sir." You bowed again and hurried out, leaving him staring at the damp spot on his desk, a strange feeling stirring in his chest, one he hadn't felt in years. Days turned into weeks. You learned the rhythm of the house, silence, discipline, and the heavy weight of authority, but you also noticed small things, how Chan never ate much, how he worked until dawn, how the servants spoke of him in hushed tones, calling him a monster. Yet you never saw him be cruel without reason. He was strict, yes, but fair, though no one dared admit it. What you did not see were the shadows that lingered beyond the estate walls, black cars parked on the ridge at dusk, unfamiliar figures loitering near the gates, and the way Chan's guards doubled their patrols whenever you stepped outside. He had noticed them the moment they first appeared, and he knew exactly who sent them. His oldest rival, Park Jongtae, who had long waited for a chance to tear down the Shadow King and seize his territory. Now Jongtae had seen how often Chan watched you from his study window, how his gaze softened whenever you passed by, and he knew he had found his weakness. One rainy afternoon you found him in the garden, standing alone under a large oak tree, staring out at the storm. He wasn't wearing his usual sharp suit, just a simple black shirt, and he looked almost weary. You hesitated, then grabbed a dry woolen shawl from the hallway and walked toward him. "Sir?" He turned, his eyes narrowing.
"What are you doing here?"
"You'll catch a cold," you said softly, holding out the shawl. "It's pouring." He stared at the fabric, as if it were something foreign.
"I don't need it."
Everyone needs warmth sometimes, you replied gently. Even kings. His gaze sharpened, searching your face.
You speak too freely for a maid.
I speak the truth, sir, that's all. For a moment, neither of you moved. Then, to your surprise, he took the shawl and draped it over his shoulders. It was far too plain for someone of his status, but he didn't remove it.
Why do you work here?
He asked suddenly. You don't belong in this house. It's dark here, dangerous. You smiled faintly. My mother is ill. I need money for her medicine. This is the only place that would hire someone like me. But one day, I want to go back home. There's a little schoolhouse in the village that's falling apart. I want to fix it and teach the children there. I love stories and reading. I want them to have that too. He studied you, something softening in his harsh features, before he quickly masked it.
You're not afraid of me?
Should I be?
Everyone else is.
Fear and respect are different things, sir. I respect that you are my employer, but I don't fear you unless you give me a reason to. A low, unexpected chuckle escaped him, deep and rough, like he wasn't used to the sound.
You are strange, very strange.
Is that a bad thing?
Perhaps not.
He looked back at the rain. Stay. It's not safe to walk back alone right now. And so you stood there in the quiet rain under the same tree, two people from worlds apart, sharing a moment of silence that felt strangely peaceful. But even as he stood beside you, his mind was racing. Zhongtai's men were watching today. If they find out how much you matter to me, you'll be dead before winter. In the weeks that followed, Chan fought harder against his feelings than he ever had against any enemy. He told himself you were just a servant, that caring about you was reckless, foolish, a death sentence for both of you. Yet he could not stay away. When he heard you mention once how much you loved honey cakes, the kind your grandmother used to make, he drove across the city himself at dawn to find the only baker who still made them the old way, then left a small plate of them on the kitchen counter with no note, pretending he had too many sent from a meeting. When he found you asleep in the library one evening, curled up in an armchair with a tattered poetry book fallen open on your lap, he stood watching you for nearly 10 minutes before quietly draping his own heavy wool coat over you, brushing a strand of hair from your face with a tenderness that made his own chest ache. Once when you tripped over a loose stone in the courtyard and let out a silly, indignant huff about stubborn rocks that think they're taller than they are, he burst out laughing, loud, bright, and completely unguarded. You looked up in surprise, and he quickly turned away, clearing his throat, though the smile stayed on his face long after he had gone. It happened one night when the house was quiet. You were returning from the kitchen with a glass of water when you heard voices, raised, angry, coming from the hallway near the main entrance. You peeked around the corner and saw Chan, his face hard and cold, standing before two large men. They looked like they were part of his organization, but their clothes were marked with a symbol you had never seen before.
Zhongtai sends his regards.
One of them spat.
He says give up your territory or we'll take what matters most to you.
Chan's hand curled into a fist at his side.
You dare come into my home and threaten me?
The shipment was lost because of your carelessness.
The man sneered, changing tactics when he saw Chan's guard rise.
Do you think we tolerate failure? You've gotten soft, Shadow King. Too busy watching your little maid to run your own empire.
Before you could react, the man pulled a hidden knife and lunged, not at Chan, but wildly, in your direction as you stood frozen.
Watch out!
Chan moved faster than you could follow. He stepped in front of you, blocking the blow with his arm. A sharp gasp left his lips. But he quickly subdued the attacker, disarming him completely.
Get them out of here.
Ordered his guards, his voice strained but steady.
And tell Zhongtai that if he comes for anyone in this house again, I will burn his empire to ash with my own hands.
When the men were gone, he turned to you. His sleeve was torn and blood trickled down his forearm.
Are you hurt?
He asked immediately, his tone softening completely, something you never thought possible. I'm fine, he said, your heart still racing. But your arm, it's nothing. It's not nothing. Come with me. You took his good hand and led him to the nearest sitting room, ignoring his surprised look. You sat him down and fetched a first aid kit from the cupboard. Kneeling before him, you carefully rolled up his sleeve. The cut was deep but not fatal. Your fingers brushed his skin as you cleaned it, and he flinched, not from pain, but from the unexpected gentleness.
You shouldn't be doing.
Murmured, watching your face closely.
You've seen what I am, what hunts me. You should run as far from here as you can, before they hurt you to get to me.
You didn't stop working. I saw you protect me. That's not something a monster would do, and I'm not running.
I've done terrible things, Yin. Things you couldn't even imagine. People fear me for a reason. If you stay here, you're not just risking your life, you're risking that dream of yours, that schoolhouse you want to build. I'll destroy everything good about you.
Maybe they only see the mask, you said quietly, dabbing antiseptic on the wound. But I think there's more to you than that, and I don't run from things that matter. He was silent for a long time. Then his voice dropped to a whisper.
Why are you so kind to me? I have nothing to offer you but danger. I live in darkness.
Kindness doesn't require payment, you replied, meeting his eyes. And darkness always looks for light, doesn't it? Chan's breath hitched. No one had ever spoken to him like that, without fear, without greed, without wanting something from him. As you wrapped the bandage carefully, he realized something terrifying. This innocent, gentle girl had walked right into his life and was slowly melting the ice around his heart. The danger grew worse in the days that followed. A fire broke out in the West Wing, small, deliberately set. Your mother received an anonymous letter threatening her if you did not leave the estate. Chan doubled the guards, but he also spent every night fighting with himself. He wanted to keep you close, to never let you go. But every cell in his body screamed that he was putting you in mortal peril. He began to distance himself, speaking only when necessary, leaving the room when you entered. Until one day you found him on the terrace and demanded to know why he was pushing you away.
Because I love you,
he had shouted, before freezing, his eyes wide with shock at his own words. The confession hung in the air, heavy and bright. And when he looked at you, all the fight left his body.
I love you, In. And that is the most dangerous thing I could ever feel. Jongtae knows it, and he will use it to tear both of us apart.
It came sooner than expected. You were in the garden when you heard the commotion. Men in dark suits rushed through the house, voices shouting. You ran inside, only to find Chan in the main hall, surrounded by his men, his face grim and angry. What's happening, you asked, stepping forward. One of the guards blocked your path.
Stay back, miss.
Chan looked over and saw you. His expression softened just a fraction before hardening again.
Go to your room, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me.
Tell me what's wrong,
Jongtae is here,
he said bluntly.
He brought 24 men. He says he won't leave without you.
You froze. Me?
You're the leverage he's wanted all along. Just go in, please.
Before you could move, the front doors burst open. Jongtae stepped inside, flanked by armed men, a cruel smile on his face.
Well done, Shadow King. I knew the girl would bring you out of hiding. Hand her over, and I'll let the rest of your people live.
Chan pulled you behind him, shielding you with his body.
Over my dead body.
Be careful, you cried. The fight was brutal and long. For every man Chan's guards took down, 2 more pushed forward. You saw Chan get grazed on the cheek, take a blow to the ribs, but he never let you out of his sight, never stopped standing between you and the danger. When Jongtae finally tried to grab you himself, Chan moved like a force of nature, disarming him in seconds, and holding him against the wall, his voice low and deadly.
Touch her and you lose everything. Your men, your territory, your life. Get out of my house and never come back.
Jongtae spat blood at his feet, but he signaled his men to retreat. The house fell silent again, save for heavy breathing and the sound of broken glass settling on the floor. Chan turned to you, his hands still shaking slightly, not from fear, but from the thought of losing you. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from your face, his touch so gentle it made your eyes burn.
Are you?
He asked, checking you over for injuries. I'm fine, but you could have died.
I'd rather die than let anyone hurt you,
he said, his voice low and intense.
Don't you understand? From the moment you stumbled into my study and stood up to me, You've changed everything. I don't want this life anymore. The violence, the fear, the blood on my hands. But I couldn't leave it until I had something worth leaving it for.
He paused, swallowing hard before he spoke again.
I don't care about the differences in our status or where we come from. I don't care about the empire I built. I only care about you. About your schoolhouse dream, about your laugh, about the way you look at me like I'm not a monster. If you'll have me, I'll leave it all behind. We'll build something new, something good.
Tears welled in your eyes. I love you too, Chan. More than I ever thought possible. But it's not just about me. It's about who you are too. You're already good. You just forgot how to let it show. A genuine, warm smile spread across his face. The kind that reached his eyes and made him look years younger. Slowly, carefully, as if afraid you might vanish, he leaned forward and pressed a soft, gentle kiss to your forehead, then lowered his lips to yours. It was a kiss that spoke of healing, of trust, and of a love that had grown from the most unlikely of places. Then we'll face it together, he murmured. No more walls, no more masks, just us. Months later, Chan kept his promise. He spent weeks negotiating with his remaining allies, handing over his legitimate businesses to trusted men who would run them fairly, and turning over all records of illegal dealings to the authorities, along with evidence that would put Zhongtae away for decades. He gave up the title of Shadow King, walked away from the territory and the power he had spent his whole life building, and never looked back. He came with you to your village, meeting your mother for the first time, sitting by her bedside and listening as she told him stories of your childhood. He helped you clear the land for the new schoolhouse, carried bricks, and nailed down planks alongside the village men, and even sat in on your first lessons, listening quietly from the back of the room as you taught the children to read their first words. The estate on the hill still stands, but it is no longer silent. Chan donated it to the village to use as a community center and library, and on weekends, children run through its halls, their laughter echoing off the marble floors. The servants who stayed on come to visit often, bringing news and stories, and they no longer look at Chan with fear, they look at him with respect and with fondness. One evening, as you walked hand in hand through the school garden, the sun setting behind the rolling hills, Chan stopped and turned to you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ring, carved from simple silver and set with a tiny clear stone that caught the light like a star.
I don't have a kingdom to give you, he
said softly.
But I have all my love and all my days, for as long as I live. Will you marry me?
Marry me? You smiled, tears spilling over as you held out your hand. Yes, 1,000 times yes. When he slipped the ring onto your finger, he kissed you, and for the first time in his life, Chan knew what it truly meant to be home. He had ruled over shadows for so long, but you had given him a life filled with light.
I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap